Hello everybody, this is Johns Hopkins with Baltimore Heritage, and we're back with another of our 5-minute Histories videos. And if you're following along real time, you know we are quickly heading into Valentine's Day, and I hope that many of you are either on the giving end or receiving end of a box of chocolates or candies, and I really hope that those are from Baltimore. We have a 150-year history of chocolate making that is still going strong today, and we thought we would kickstart Valentine's Day, if you will, by talking about 4 long-standing Baltimore chocolate manufacturers. Before we jump into that, if you're wondering where I am, the heart behind me, I am right dead center of the Inner Harbor. What better place to give Baltimore a little love than next to this heart for Valentine's Day? All right, let's jump in and start with Reb's Candies. It was founded in 1917 by Louis and Esther Reb. They were newlyweds and bought a house at 3352 Wilkins Avenue. About a year later, they started making chocolates and candies in their basement. They made taffy and brittle, fudge, and jellies. I think jellies were a more common thing for candy manufacturers to do back then. When they entered Baltimore's chocolate field in the early 1900s, it was a crowded one. No fewer than 130 candy makers here in the city, but they did pretty well. Esther sold their candies at Holland's Market, and Louis sold his at Bel Air Market. Eventually, they opened up a stall at Lexington Market, but people still came and rang their doorbell to try to get candy right from the source. And in 1950, they kind of gave up and turned their living room into a candy shop, which is still there today. You can still go ring their doorbell and get candies on Wilkins Avenue. It's now in its 4th generation. They use still many of the same recipes that were developed by Louis and Esther a little over 100 years ago. I will confess that my favorites from Reb's are the hand-dipped truffle. So if you're looking for something really good, try those out. All right, let's jump over to another candy manufacturer that started even earlier than 1917, and that's Glauber's. It was founded in 1876 by John Glauber, and his house on South Hanover Street. He and his wife made sort of French confections, truffles and hand-dipped buttercreams. They sold their goods, their chocolates, at Holland's Market and Lexington Market, and when shopping malls opened up, they eventually sold them in malls in Timonium and Towson and Hartford Mall. They were maybe best known for Easter candies. They had an astounding array of chocolate bunnies. You could get standing bunnies, sitting bunnies, twin bunnies. You could get bunnies the size of baked potatoes, and if you were really daring, you could even get the Oliver, which was an 8-pound chocolate bunny. It's a lot of chocolate. But they didn't slight the rest of the animal kingdom. You could also get chocolate dogs, chocolate squirrels, chocolate monkeys, and apparently all this was more or less a health food. The longtime owner, Kenneth Glauber, I think was the grandson of the founder, was said to have eaten a 1-pound box of chocolates every day, and he lived to nearly 90. After about 125 years, in 2002, another local company called Ruxton Chocolates purchased Glauber's. At about that same time, Ruxton Chocolates purchased another long-standing Baltimore candy company called Mary Sue. So let's jump in and talk about Mary Sue. Some of you may remember the giant Easter bunny on I-83, and some of you may also remember a jingle that they had. Johnny Unitas, the legendary Colts quarterback, would sing it on local TV in the 1950s. And I'm going to try to do it. It's going to be really bad, but here goes. Here's a treat that is sunny for your Easter bunny. The creamiest candy that's made. Mary Sue eggs, brighten your Easter parade. That was Johnny Unitas in the 1950s. They were founded in 1948 by Samuel Spector, known as Sasha, in a basement, row house basement on Smallwood Street in West Baltimore. Sasha had emigrated from Russia with his family when he was 2, I believe. They came from a pretty prominent candy making family then. When they arrived in America, they had a certificate from the Tsar saying that they were good at making candies, and I believe marmalade as well, that jelly connection. In their height, Mary Sue sold no fewer than 8 million chocolate eggs around Easter. One of the interesting ironies ironies is that the Easter egg king, Spectre himself, was Jewish, and he never forgot his immigrant past. He was known to hire recent immigrants and folks who didn't speak English. At first, Jewish folks, maybe from Central Europe. Then in the 1970s, folks from Vietnam. He even learned sign language so that he could hire and communicate with people who were deaf. In the early 2000s, they merged with Neyron, and then Ruxton Chocolates bought it. But you can still this Easter or this Valentine's Day get Mary Sue candies here in Baltimore and pretty much throughout. All right, let's wrap up with the final chocolate company we want to talk about, and that's Wachenfuss. They were started on Hartford Road in 1915 by Herman Wachenfuss. He had emigrated from Germany, again entering Baltimore's really crowded candy field. If you're curious today, that 130 manufacturers is down to about a half a dozen, so not nearly as many. But he also thrived. His son Herman Jr. took over in 1945 with his wife when chocolate was really taking off, coinciding when air conditioning was really taking off. Apparently it was too hot for many months to either make or eat chocolate, but air conditioning helped solve that problem. They used to be, you could used to find them in Bel Air Market, in Holland's Market, Cross Street Market, but today you can find them in their own stores, about 6 or 8 stores throughout Maryland, and they have another huge selection of Easter chocolates, I think 15 different types of Easter eggs, but if you're curious, their #1 seller is Nonpareil, so they're going strong there. So I'm going to wrap up and say, again, I hope many of you for Valentine's Day are on the giving or receiving end of some chocolates. And if you are on the giving end, please make sure they are good chocolates, and please make sure they're from Baltimore. All right, happy Valentine's Day, and we'll see you next time.